next week.
Welcome to Talkin' Baseball. It's the middle of the week episode, the tidbits episode. We're talking bubble. We're talking player of the week. We're talking Trevor Plouffe. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin' Baseball. My name is Jimmy. I'm sitting next to Jake, who just heard himself during the intro song. Trevor Plouffe is in California. And producer Zach is subbing in for producer BBD today as BBD finds the deadline on another project.
Woo!
Wow, up against it. Coming to you live from the Roosevelt Studios here in the Bronx. Hope you're doing well. Trevor, how are you?
Doing great, Jim. Doing real great. Have a little weird thing going on with my computer. I searched for something, I don't know, a week ago. Okay. And I get an ad for it every single day.
Yeah?
It's weird. I don't like that.
I was going to make a very crude joke.
It's not porn related.
Wasn't going to say that.
No. I also just started recording right now, so.
Nice.
Perfect.
Give us a clap.
Don't worry about it.
Content.
Look, I'll tell you what it is. It's like this I was looking at these shoes, and then that brought me to a page with this jumpsuit. Now I don't wear jumpsuits, but they're showing me jumpsuits with the shoes every day. I don't want the shoes or the jumpsuit.
When are you making the change to jumpsuits?
It's too hot.
I thought
45.
maybe you were searching for the F Me Silly doll from Dave.
Not a big blow up doll fan here. Just not into it. But
normal human.
You'd be surprised by the feel.
Jake, how are you?
I could imagine.
I'm doing well. I bet you could imagine. I've heard you've done it at least twice. At least twice. Happy birthday to your kids when their birthdays come up. I'm doing well. It's pretty Yankee focused, but maybe the only time I'll push the Talkin' Baseball people towards Talkin' Yanks. We just had a nice little interview pop up. Again, it's very Yankee centric, so you'd have to really be looking for baseball content if you're not a Yanks fan. But I can tell them, right?
That fuck.
We just interviewed Randall Gruchik, and he was awesome. It was more of a conversation than an interview. Cool guy, and he should be feeling pretty good because his Blue Jays are rolling right now.
And what are the Yankees doing?
They suck, Trev.
Anti-rolling.
Yes.
Suck.
They were about to roll, and then the cops came through, and they took everything, and now they're just at a Major Lazer concert with X's on their hands. The baseball's been good.
Yeah, baseball's been good. Trev, I have some. We have a big conversation. Trev put out some texts and some feelers, and we will get to that. But I had a couple small questions for you. Just, you're our local expert. I need to ask expert the questions.
I'll try.
First question. You saw my breakdown with Neil Walker and Bryce Harper getting ejected. Best lip reading I've done since ever, people are saying. It
was pretty good.
It took me like all day. So hard. But I got it. That pop-up, Neil Walker catches it on his heels. For people that didn't see, Neil Walker catches on his heels. Bryce Harper never charges it, never catches it at all. Todd Frazier actually really smartly tags up because he realizes that Neil is backing up as a second baseman, scores on it. You can see Neil look to the dugout or look back at Harper like, what the hell, man? Now, both broadcasts, the Mets broadcast, Keith Hernandez was like aghast. Like, where the hell's Harper? Why he's got to catch that ball. The Phillies broadcast obviously tried to dial it back a little bit. Like, I don't know if Neil was mad at Harper or just mad at himself for not getting behind the ball. As a pro, he's played some infield, played some outfield. What's your read on that situation? I just honestly want your opinion on it.
Let me get serious real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I actually appreciated that you kind of thought about that when you saw the play. It makes me happy that your baseball IQ is where it needs to be.
Thanks.
Because that is a play that, as an infielder, you dread that more than almost more than anything, is going back on fly balls in general. But specifically there, runner on third base, yes, you got to get behind the ball. So I could see both sides of it there. Neil is just waiting and waiting for somebody to call him off. He doesn't care who it is. You know, whether it's Harper or the center fielder, somebody, he just is like standing there like, I got it, but how about you guys come get this ball? It was up there for a long time, and I don't know if Harper misjudged how high it was.
He gave up on it like right away, it seemed.
Neil was waving his hands, which is the universal, like, get out of the way. But as an outfielder, you got to realize the situation there. I think mainly my stance on it is that Bryce needed to come in and get the ball. I think that's the obvious thing. But you could also say, yeah, Neil, like, as soon as you figured out that nobody was coming for you, you got to get behind that ball too, because he also had time to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're giving Todd a plus for good base running there. I'm sure the third base coach was in his ear like, hey, like, if Neil catches this, you're going, you know. So they're watching that intently. Todd's also an infielder and understands, you know, catching a ball like that is tough to make a throw. But I thought you went over it pretty well when you talked about that play. It's definitely Harper's ball.
Did you ever catch a pop-up and get tagged up on?
I was pretty aware of those situations. I'm sure you could dig through the tape and find one, but I was a guy that, maybe not. I was a guy that always told the outfielders, like, dude, call me off. Shortstop, call me off. Left fielder, call me off. Like, I shouldn't be catching any balls, like, in the outfield. It's the truth, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be able to communicate with people.
It's a tough angle. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Next question I had during the pregame show today, you mentioned someone got Player of the Week. Teoscar, I forget. I don't know who you said.
Montas.
Who?
Montas.
Montas got Player of the Week.
Player of the Week.
My question for you about this is, do you know, like, okay, here's Player of the Week for me. The only time I ever find out who the Player of the Week was is if it's a Yankee and they say it on the Yankees broadcast. I don't know where it gets posted. I don't know if there's actually honor or accolades to it, like Player of the Month, maybe. If a teammate got Player of the Week, would you know about it? Would you celebrate with them? Would you congratulate? Is it anything more than just like a head nod? If someone on another team gets Player of the Week, do you have any idea? If someone else got Player of the Week while you were playing, did you know who they were? Did they put it on a bulletin? What's Player of the Week?
I don't know, man. It gets posted on MLB's Instagram page. I think that's how I usually see it.
Okay.
So I think guys dig that. You get a little bump in the following because they're tagging you. I think guys care about it. Why wouldn't you? It says you're the best player in the world for a week.
But, like, as a player, if you're on the Twins and the Player of the Week goes to the A's, would you have any idea?
Only if I saw it on Instagram.
Okay.
They're not making announcements about that.
That's what I wanted to know. Like, I wanted to know if there was, like, what if your teammate gets it? Does the manager, does anyone in the clubhouse say, hey, Plouffe got Player of the Week this week. Everyone, give it up.
Your PR guy would tell you, and you'd be happy about it, man. I think I've won it before.
I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm just trying to understand where it, like, in what attention it gets.
You don't get anything for it, if that's what you're asking. And I think when you got Player of the Month, you used to get something for it, like a watch or something. And I don't know if they do that anymore either. But you get a pat on the butt and an Instagram post, and that's about it for Player of the Week.
Instagram post is pretty cool. All right.
But it's fun, though. Like I said, it means that you're the best player in the world for a week.
Do you have any thoughts on Player of the Week?
You just bring it to the arbitration table and see if anybody bites on it. Yeah, it's fun. It's just another way to measure stuff. And I don't know. I bet there's probably some cool guys have some cool outliers about it. Like, guy won Player of the Week 3 different weeks throughout the year or something like that. I don't know.
I'm not trying to knock it.
It's not a brag award.
Just trying
to understand. Have I won Player of the Week? I think I have.
I think it's a little it's a pat on the ass. I think Trevor said it best there. It's a pat on the ass. Hey, hell of a job, kid.
That's what I thought. I would have been interested if the answer was like, oh no, if a guy wins Player on your week, they're like, he gets an announcement and the guys clap
before his first at bat.
Yeah. It's like high school, like the high school announcements. As soon as you show up to school, it's like Player of the Week in the AL.
You don't have a lot of stuff like that. Even player of the month. I mean, again, it's more just like a congratulations. Maybe your manager will like do something and talk and be like, hey, this guy just won player of the month or whatever. But I think the coolest thing, if you're talking about recognition during the season and what guys pay attention to, obviously the All-Star team is important to guys. And I always thought that was cool, getting together in the clubhouse, announcing the All-Star from your team or the All-Stars from your team. And usually, the organization does something nice for the guys, gets them a bottle of champagne, what have you. And I always thought that was really cool. That's special to people. Just because you can always say for the rest of your life, like, All-Star major leaguer.
Trev, you got one player of the week.
August 24th, 2014.
I honestly don't even know what I did.
The two best third basemen in baseball, Nolan Arenado and Trevor Plouffe.
I don't know what I did that week. I felt like
I do. You want to know what you
probably
did?
had some better weeks than that, but
You batted .367 with a .387 on base percentage, 1.120 OPS.
Give me 3 yackers.
2 homers, 10 RBIs, 5 doubles. And you did it all against division opponents. You did it all against the Royals, Indians, and Tigers.
all right, man.
Huge.
That's like you said those numbers, and I was like, that's not that good. I feel like,
Well, you ended it with a 3-hit game, a 3-hit game, and a 2-hit game. So you ended the week hot.
Recency bias. All right.
Yeah. And you also got the International Player of the Week, April 11th, 2011, for the Rochester Red Wings.
Oh, hey, thanks.
In 2007, Phoenix Desert Dogs, AFL, Rising Star Award.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Chat's pretty happy for you right now, Trev.
And then with the Rock Cats, you got Eastern Player of the Week, June 4th.
I remember the fall league. This is a fun little story. You guys will like this. We did the all-star game for the fall league. I don't remember what it was called. It was like Rising Stars. I think you just said it. And the winning team, they gave $500 cash to each player. So you don't play on Sundays in the fall league. So Saturday nights are big already. Like everyone's going out and having fun. Then you give a bunch of like 19, 20-year-olds $500 just cash. It was a fun night.
Just cash in an envelope?
Yeah, we gave back to the local economy that night. We really did.
That's the best.
We helped the needy that night.
That's how they do it? I wonder if they just Venmo guys now.
It was so funny, man. It was like, because I don't think we knew that we were going to get any money. We win the game. And then it's Saturday night in Scottsdale. Tee levels are hot.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure I was single at the time. Got to check the timestamp on that.
Yeah,
but
we'll check the receipts.
Man, there wasn't any money left that night. All the monies were spent in the local economy.
It's good to give back, people.
I tried to Google who votes on Player of the Week, and nothing really came.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's an intern that brings it to Joe Torre.
I wish there were more awards, dude. Like, give me more awards. Like, pat people on the back more often.
Taste me.
Machado, back-to-back Player of the Week.
He did.
MLB.
See, I saw that because Yonder Alonso posted on his Instagram. So basically, Instagram is where you find out all these things.
I wonder if Player of the Month has ever come from a guy who didn't win a single week. Kind of like Olympic gymnastics.
For sure.
You win the all-around. But you
For
don't.
sure.
Yeah, because you come in second every week, and that's probably the best month. All right, moving on.
Uh-oh.
It's time for Trevor's Tidbits. It's time for Trevor's Tidbits. He's not good at showing his bits. He's probably taking the shits. It's time for Trevor's Tidbits.
Trev, the bubble. The bubble. The bubble.
Bubs.
It's frustrating. The
The
bubble.
bubbly.
Let's talk about the bubble.
Yeah.
For a while, all we talked about was how are we going to get the season in? Is there going to be a bubble? Where are they going to play? Are they going to play in spring training sites? Blah, 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 blah. We were the best pod ever talking about what's going to happen.
Number one.
I do miss our labor dispute days.
I hope we do one soon.
Oof, can't wait for that again.
Here's the clip I queued up about the bubble.
Toe. The bubble. Now, this air bubble shoots around the heel and explodes towards your face while you drink it.
In your face, it explodes.
Okay, done. Got it.
Postseason's around the corner, Jim.
Real close.
16 teams make it. What I'm hearing around the league is a little different than I think what people are seeing out. I think Passon had an article on it maybe like a week and a half ago. And we have the NBA, they have a bubble. The NHL, they're doing their bubble. MLB realistically couldn't do a bubble for the regular season, but we know the one thing that owners want is the postseason. So right now, I think the way they're queuing it up is the National League would be in California. We would do LA. And I don't know if we're only going to do Angels, Dodgers, or we're going to do Angels, Dodgers, San Diego. They're still talking about that. And then the American League would be in Houston and in Dallas. And they'd use those two facilities together. The caveat that I'm hearing is that they're going to go ahead and do the first round at the higher seeds home park. Because I think there's just too many teams to go ahead and do that bubble, which I think is I think it's pretty cool.
That's a great tidbit, Trev.
I think that'd be a decent reward too.
Yeah, I
If you're
think
a
that's
top
cool.
4 team.
And I think teams are really happy about that. I'm not sure guys want to get into the bubble right now. At least that's what I'm hearing, but they're going to have to. Because the bubble is going to be mandatory. Another thing that's they're going to do is they do want to have family be allowed in the bubble. And this is where things get kind of funny, and we talk about, where do the priorities lie? Right now, if you want your family to come with you, they just come. And you kind of got to roll the dice. If you want to bring your spouse in, you bring her in, you probably should have her tested and then get into your little isolation, whatever you're going to do. But that's not even – you don't have to do that right now in the big leagues. You can have anyone come and go, and there's really no checking on that. No one's making sure you're doing that. Well, in the bubble, you're going to have to do it. And what I'm hearing is they're going to make families come in, and they're going to have to quarantine. But they're not going to let that happen until they get into the bubble, which would then put these families in a quarantine until the championship series. So you might have a family member come out, get tested, quarantine, get ready to go in the bubble, and then you lose the divisional series. And then they just took a vacation to some random hotel room for 10 days, 14 days, and they get to go home. That would be very bad for a lot of people. So what we're seeing now is MLB not really caring about the regular season, but really caring about the playoffs. Because as we all know, we talked about this a million times, that's where the money is, and that's where they care about. It's kind of what I got on the bubble.
I mean, the family stuff is interesting. Family stuff is one thing. That's kind of weird to see how that plays out. The first tidbit's game changer. It's really good, and might be smart. I don't know. Smart's the wrong word. I have no say if it's smart or not. But to give the number 1 seeds home field advantage for at least that round seems pretty cool.
I had a good mental chuckle thinking about potential bubbles, and if somehow, some way, the Houston Astros end up having home field advantage in the playoffs because they're playing the AL bubble in Houston. Oh my God, the Manfred haters are going to go nuts.
It's very true. I didn't really think about that. Like, teams actually getting to get to play at home. That's a big deal.
If the Houston Astros get to play their bubble playoff games in Houston, if they get there, I mean, people will go insane.
Dodgers, same thing. Padres, same thing, possibly.
I mean, at least it feels like the Dodgers would have earned it.
They've earned it, yeah.
Why would the Houston get to play at home?
Trev just said the AL bubble would be Houston, Dallas.
I don't like that. Yeah, no. I don't like that.
Be a lot easier for their families and for them, obviously. Although I do believe they're going to make guys go into hotels and like absolutely bubbleize them. So
you have to. The whole point is, credit to the MLB. The season's been going, and we've hit a lot of bumps in the road, but teams are still playing. And you had the time to push the Cardinals aside, push the Phillies aside, push the Miami aside, and let them get test negative, and then play doubleheaders and make up for it. In the playoffs, you can't have any bumps. So they have to fully bubble. I thought it was smart to do AL in an NL stadium and AL, the opposite. So, that doesn't seem right to do the other way.
I haven't heard of any fans being allowed. We're seeing in college football limited capacity going into certain places. I don't think it's going to be that way in California. Texas, on the other hand, I don't know, man.
Texas forever, my friend.
They kind of, do whatever they want in Texas.
There is a way to do limited fans.
I totally agree. I think families right now should be able to go to the field. I mean, there's a lot of space. You could really socially distance everybody.
You just drive people nuts. You drive the fans insane. I mean, Trev, you've been welcome to it. You see Yankee Twitter. I mean, there's people that their lives revolve around going to Yankee games. And there's some people that have been, kind of devastated by the season. So if they start letting anyone in that building, and they're fans that have gone to Yankee games for, 2 decades, they're saying, hey, why the hell don't we have any right to be there? So you open up by letting anyone in, you open up a whole can of worms. And Trev, I'd like to ask you, you've got 2 kids. I mentioned how you made them earlier in the broadcast. Wife. Let's say you're on these Dodgers and you're, World Series contender. Serious favorites. I mean, would you want them to bubble? I mean, I don't want to compare it to normally a long road trip, a 12-day road trip or something, but I don't know. I mean, it feels like I've never been in the situation. I couldn't tell you any idea how my heart would lie. I'm sure I would want my family there, but also there's a lot going on in the world.
I mean, that's someone with kids.
Right.
And a pro. I also haven't been in this situation, but Trev has.
I think, honestly, I wouldn't have them quarantine or bubble with me. I mean, I have 2 small kids. The idea of having them in a hotel for that long, unless there was some really cool setup where they were like at Disneyland and there was shit for them to do.
Awesome pool.
I just think about them being in a hotel room, me coming back to that hotel room, and like I just don't think it's worth it. I know you're gonna miss your family, but I do believe we're gonna see a lot of guys be like, no family in the postseason. Let's just get to work. It's only a month at most, which is a long time to be without your family. Right. But I think these guys are willing to, make that sacrifice so they can really just get in and focus on the games.
So do you think we should get into the family Linux and see which team has the most players without kids? And they'll probably perform best in the bubble playoffs?
Probably.
It's a theory.
I think I would go with that. I think guys, the team with the most single dudes who's in the bubble is probably going to play the best.
Do you think I could see that being a storyline? Like one team says no families. We're here as one.
Yeah, we are our family.
Yeah, now that the more and more I think about it, like there's just no way. I get it. You want them to be with you and be able to like celebrate and stuff with you, but
I mean, it just seems it's a lot. I don't want to. Risky's the wrong word because risk lies in the risk lies in the serious stuff. But I mean, okay, I use the Dodgers as the example. What if it's? I mean, there's so many tweener teams this year. What if the Phillies make it? Like, I don't know. To have your spouse potentially quarantine and then they gotta go or whatever happens. I don't know. It seems like a nice concept, but it also just seems a little bizarre.
Yeah, so I'm looking, the NHL, the way they do families is they need to come in, they quarantine in their own room, so you can't stay with the person that you see that you're coming to see right away, and then they need 4 negative tests over a span of 5 days or something like that. So I don't know if MLB would follow that guideline specifically, but it's a tall ask for your family too.
Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting caveat into an interesting season that I think this has been the most. There's so many storylines for 2020. It's been difficult for us to cover. There's just been so much going on.
Good drama. Good drama.
A lot of drama.
On-field drama, which has been good. Good and bad. I mean, you got me worried about the Yankees being the 8th seed and having to play that first round in the Trop against the Rays.
Historically, are they tough and not play well in the Trop?
Yes. They play awful.
I think that's a lot of people.
They play awful at the Trop.
Yes.
Yeah.
We talking Yanks? Trev, I know you had some questions for us.
Oh, yeah, you said you had questions for us as Yankee fans.
Why don't you ask us as baseball experts?
Football is back, Trev, and it's time to celebrate. That's right, football is here. To kick off football's 101st season, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is giving all users a no-brainer to start the season. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. Have you ever heard of a football team losing by 100 points? Well, for Week 1, DraftKings is ensuring that even if Kansas City were to lose in a historic fashion, you would still cash your bet. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook has moved the spread to Kansas City plus 101 points for all users. So even if Kansas City loses by 100 points, you still win big with DraftKings Sportsbook. That's a no-brainer. Plus, DraftKings is giving away up to $100 million in prizes to all users who enter their free Football Survivor pool. All you have to do is sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, enter the Survivor pool, and you'll instantly get a share of up to $100 million in giveaways. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Jomboy to take advantage of this no-brainer of an offer. That's promo code Jomboy to get in on all of the action. For a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older. New Jersey only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Forgot to do that in the middle of the show. So a production note, we got to chop that up. Put at the beginning. I think Yankees are the biggest disappointment right now.
Biggest story.
It's because I talk to you guys all the time, I just feel like I see your emotions and I can read your vibe, and a lot of it has to do with how the Yankees are playing, and I feel like that's like a little microcosm of Yankees. What is it called? Yankees universe?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's it called? Planet?
No. What are they?
Yankees. I like universe.
No, there is is it universe?
Like the actual, like, their, like, fan club is, like, Yankees Universe.
Yankees universe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red
Sure.
Sox Nation, Yankees universe.
Yeah.
Of course it would be. Of course it would be.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I also follow some people on Yankees Twitter. I see it all the time. It seems right now everyone is just down. They can't take it. But for you guys who watch a lot of baseball, scale of 1 to 10, what are your New York Yankees deep run in the playoffs chances? Be realistic. Understand
Out
that
of
they're going
10?
to make the playoffs. Yeah.
What do you mean by deep run? Get to the ALCS?
Championship Series. Chance to go to the World Series.
2 out of 10.
2.
Right now. I think it can change in 2 weeks, but a lot needs to happen, so it's a 2 right now for me.
Yeah, this is always the tricky game that me and Jimmy play because it's. I mean, as of right now, they're playing awful baseball. I think they're 5-15 in their last 20. So, like, if the playoffs started right now, I would tell you, 1 or 2. You're praying Colt gets hot and Tanaka can drop D. I like to have the glass half full, and I know baseball is a crazy sport. Like, there is a world where in 2 weeks the Yankees are the hottest team. And it would be really cool if that world happens. But right now, they're a disaster, Trev. 10-run inning. They saved their bullpen for that appearance. And that's the result of it. And it just seems like one thing goes wrong. And I don't know, man. You just see a lot of magical baseball teams like the 2018 Red Sox, man. Like when that top of the lineup came up or the opponent did one mistake, it could have been a drop foul pop-up, and it was like there is blood in the water. The Yanks just have none of that right now, and I really do think, and it's one of those dumb baseball things that normally I'd yell at someone for having this take, I think it's all eyes on Big Aaron Judge. Like, he's supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be the best player on the team. He's supposed to be, a face of baseball. And it just feels like they're waiting on him. And maybe that's even rude to Giancarlo Stanton, a guy who's won an MVP. But the way they are playing, it looks like they're looking for leadership. It looks like they're looking for actual baseball help. And so I don't know, man. I really do hope the story changes, and it really can. And I think that's almost... It's a little bit of the frustrating part on me and Jim's angle, because I'd like to talk more about how bad they are being, but I also know baseball can turn around. But right now, oh my God.
It just seems like it happens so fast with everybody. Like at the beginning of this stretch, you said they're 5-15 in their last 20 games. That's accurate?
It's around there. I thought it was 5-14 yesterday, so doing quick math.
I mean, that's 20. We're talking 3 weeks.
Right.
The first 2 weeks, it was all the talk was, man, we just need to get
6
healthy.
and 14.
We just need to get healthy. 6-14. So the first 2 weeks, that's all it was. Like, man, Judge is coming back. We'll get Giancarlo back. And now it just seems like that additional week really has turned the corner for you guys and for the rest of Yankees Twitter. And I just have never seen the highs and lows.
This is the worst 3-week stretch of Yankees baseball I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's not hyperbole. I did all the number crunching. It's the worst.
So maybe that explains it. It's just to me, like as an observer of baseball fans, like I'm really getting into it with you guys now. I just have never seen that flip like that.
So there's also a lot of moving parts to the dynamic of Yankees baseball, and if that doesn't sound douchey, cool. But I'm about to put us down a little bit. Is Trevor? I love sports. AOL screen name, Sports Jake.
And I don't care who knows.
Nationals last year, 19-31. A football team that makes a run. Like, all of it. I love the beauty of sports. Nick Foles, what the hell was that?
Ooh, love that.
What the hell
Philly
was
special.
that? That's part of the reason I love sports. Kind of anything can really happen. It's the original reality TV. So, like, there's a world where the Yankees figure it out. Garrett Cole's awesome. That bullpen locks in. They get healthy, and they give grueling, tough at-bats. And they can play like the New York Yankees. But New York Yankee fans have never seen that. We saw the dynasty teams be the dynasty. Yes. Even the 1 year where their record wasn't good. I forget if it was 99. I think they had like 88 wins. It was still the same dudes. You still believed in Jeter, Posada, Bernie, all those guys. 09, when they won, I mean, they went out and they made big ads before the season. And it was like, all right, let's go. We're the Yankees. We're back. And so I think that's the other reason that Yankee fans get this down, because they've never really seen a streak like this unless you were alive during the 80s. And then B, it's just not part of the Yankee script. Like, this isn't how a Yankee team does it. We bludgeon. We are the best. We are the Yankees. You fear us. If you're up 4 runs in the 9th, that's not enough. Yankees right now are on the other side of the script. The bullpen comes out, the other team starts salivating, which when you pay Chapman, Britton, Ottavino, and some of those guys the money you do, I mean, those guys' contracts are other teams' payrolls, like as a whole. So that's kind of the tweets you're seeing.
If we did a side-by-side screenshot of 2 weeks ago and then today, you're going to see a joyous Jim, a joyous Jake, and now we're looking, Jim's got a mustache and Jake has 2 slits in his eyes. There's not a better representation of like the change in attitude than that.
Well, yeah. It's also, and I think no one cares on this podcast with the Yankees as much, but they just did this last year, Trev. Like, they're going to try and say, like, Judge will come back with 2 weeks left. Last year, Gary came back and played 2 games. Edwin didn't even play a game in the last 2 months. Stan came back just for the playoffs. Severino came back, made 2 starts just for the playoffs, and it was like, oh, we're getting all this help right at the end, and I bought into it. I was like, yes. Now they want me to buy into that again, and it's like, no. Like, Judge isn't going to come back, play 2 weeks of baseball. Judge actually may. Actually, he's the only one because whenever he's healthy, he performs. But, like, Stanton, come back and just go in. And then even the guys that are healthy right now aren't playing good. It's Voit and DJ and Clint. Like, Glaber's been bad all year. Gary's benched because he's the worst catcher in all of baseball. He's the worst hitter in all of baseball right now. And then all the platoon players it's just, they're just bad. I mean, no one cry for Yankees fans because we've had a pretty good run. So they're pretty awful right now.
I would never say this usually because I don't necessarily believe in it, but where is Boone's role in all this? It seems like the culture there is no good right now. Like, is he on the hot seat, or is this just like an anomaly because it's 2020 and we've had some guys hurt? Like,
anomaly and injuries will save the way. His job is to be the everything's all right. This isn't who we are. This team gets through tough times.
It's interesting because that doesn't seem like a New York manager to me either. Or at least a person that New Yorkers would want. Yeah, he's a California guy.
He's a Californian.
Running the Yanks.
His first season in 2018, I think every like other series we were like, what the fuck is this vibe? And then 2019, we kind of accepted it because they were really good. And it worked with all the replacement players and everyone coming up. But yeah, no, that's like his mood.
Managers, I mean, what do they really do nowadays? I think you're either too high on Boone or you're too low on Boone. On a given day, I think the lineup card gets handed to him. So when DJ LeMahieu's not in it, I think Boone's job is to say, we really want to give him rest during this stretch. I don't think he did. But, I don't know. I mean, your job is trying to keep the morale up, and he kind of hasn't cracked, which has, I don't know, is almost a good thing and a bad thing. He visually cracked during the 10-run inning last night, but he still came out in the press conference and said, I believe in these guys, and, baseball's a grind, and you got to get through it. So, I don't know, man. I just think, and again, ad for the Gritchuk interview that'll be on the Talkin Yanks feed, he asked us, he said, what's going on over there? We're like, dude, can we ask you questions? Like, have you been, like, mandated an off day? And he was like, not to give too much away, but he's like, Montoya told me a couple times, like, hey, we're going to sit you tomorrow. And I said, no. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. And then he said, then I went into a slump and my name wasn't in there one day. So, but, dude, the Yankees operate like they are this different, dominant team that everything is built up for October 1st. And it's like, well, it hasn't worked in the past decade, and why are we the most hurt team in baseball the past 2 years?
Yeah, I think
the rest doesn't seem to be working.
I think
that's the crazy thing.
Hold on, we can hear. They can hear you.
Hello.
Oh, we got you. What are you saying?
I think that's the craziest thing is the amount of injuries. Like, I don't understand where it goes, like, and why and how and what do you do to fix it. Because no team is built to sustain that. Yeah, they did last year, but that was – now we're seeing probably a lot of luck. Can't do it 2 years in a row. Can't do it 3 years in a row. So whatever. I mean –
well, the guys like, Gio was a replacement, and he's a starter now. A lot of that stuff. But the Yankees believe that there's an on-off switch. They believe they can we're not going to use our bullpen today, and we'll just win with whatever we have. And then, okay, this game we're going to try our hardest to win. And they think there's an on-off switch. And I think that's a bad way to play the regular season because you should just be on all the time.
Well, yeah, especially in the 60-game set.
Especially in a 60-game set.
And last year, the Yanks were great. They won, 103? Yeah. And then they signed Garrett Cole this offseason, so it's easy to get on the hype train. But also, and I hope this doesn't sound too Yankees because it's honestly what it was. I mean, the Yankees were winning a lot of series. So if it was the third game and getaway day, you were like, okay, if we got to use the bad bullpen today, we already run the set. Like, let's keep it moving. And honestly, I think the numbers showed that. I think they were 27 straight series at home they hadn't lost or something like that. So I don't know. Here's dumb Jake phrase. Winning cures everything. If the Yankees win some goddamn games over the next 2 weeks and a couple guys get healthy, I mean, I think we'll be ending sentences with, like, watch out for them Yanks, though.
I'm fully expecting that to come back. I think it's really funny that Gritchick asked you guys the same thing. Like, what's going on in Yankeeville? That's how I feel right now. It's a weird time to be a Yankee fan. I feel like I believe in them more than you guys do. But
I always believe.
It's probably because I'm not as in depth. Like, they've been really bad. As I'm on the surface level of it, I guess I don't go down into the trenches enough.
Trev, if they were 8-1 playoff series with the Rays tomorrow, I'd be going, Cole sneaks it out. Tanaka's playoff numbers.
Tanaka playoffs.
Let me tell you, Davey Garcia is about to announce himself to the world. That's exactly what I'd be doing. So.
It's
and
fun.
I'm a
We're
human
coming
idiot.
down to it. Yeah, you can be.
Can be.
You can be. It's coming down to it, man. Like, the playoff picture it's shaping up, but there's still a lot to go on in the next 3 weeks. How many games are left? 18 games are left, ish.
Trev, do you believe in lineup balance? This is one thing that I tear myself apart with, too, just about this Yankees team and comparing it to Yankees teams of old. We did an episode with Katie Sharp, who's awesome. Follow her just for good baseball stuff, mostly analytically driven. But the Yankees are heavy right-handed, but a lot of their guys are kind of split-proof. But at the same time, I'm telling myself if I'm a pitcher and say I'm a right-handed pitcher and my numbers are better against righties, I don't care that you're split-proof. I care that I'm better against righties. And I don't know, man. It just drives me up a wall. So I don't know if there was ever like a Twins team where you had a good lefty-righty balance. But I don't know, man. Like, say these Yankees ran into Bieber. They're going to be running out 8 right-handed hitters and Hicks.
I think really what you do when you're trying to set a lineup, and this is before the computers put them out. I think a lot of the thought process was not necessarily against the starter, although you could stack lefties against a right-hander if he did have bad splits. I think really what it was about getting the lineup balanced was for later in the game. So if you had a wipeout right-handed reliever, he's not going to face 3 right-handers in a row. At least give him a one look at a lefty or something like that. I know the analytics doesn't favor doing that, and really all it says is to put your best hitters at the beginning of the lineup so they get more opportunities. But, there's still some part of baseball that, God, and I sound like a boomer right now.
Yeah. Let it out.
I'm a millennial. I found that out. I never knew. I Googled it this morning. I'm a millennial.
Hot.
Are we all millennials? I think we are.
Yeah.
Espo?
I'm right on the borderline of millennial Gen Z.
You're with us today.
Some
Old
websites say I
soul.
fall into one and others say I fall into the other. So, yeah.
That's another problem in America. Where are you getting your news, huh? You could be a boomer or you could be a millennial or a Gen Z. Just depends on the site.
Go off, King.
Anyways, it sounds boomer of me, but I do believe in having some lineup protection. I know that the data does not necessarily support this, but I'm telling you, as a confidence factor, where you hit in the lineup matters. I think that's why you'll see guys like who are struggling just get the bump and say, hey, you're leading off today. Or you're hitting third today. You're hitting second today. And it's almost like an affirmation of, like, you can do it. Like, let's go. We're counting on you. And I think that the mental part of that doesn't get because you can't track it, they don't talk about that a lot. But I always felt like I wanted to be in the middle of the lineup, but I needed someone behind me. I wanted the lefty behind me because I didn't want to be up there thinking, this guy doesn't have to throw me strikes if he doesn't want to. That's a horrible feeling to have as a hitter, going up there being like, even if I get ahead in the count, is he going to come at me? Or do I have to think 2-0, I might see his third pitch here and get me over? So a lot of that goes into it. And I think pitchers, as analytically driven as they've become, they still treat it that way too. You'll see them all the time. You look at the catcher, you look at the pitcher. When there's an open base, they always look who's on deck. And whether or not that factors in, it definitely factors in mentally for everybody. And I just, to Jimmy's point that he had on Twitter too, talking about Cleveland and having their set lineup. Yeah. There's something about that too, man.
I was just going to ask you that. Peter Moylan responded and said, like, your brain works different. I didn't know if he was complimenting me or insulting me.
Yeah.
He had a rough night on Twitter.
I think he was just commenting on the way you, like, broke it down.
Oh.
Because the concept, I think we all kind of agree on. Like, there's something to that. Like,
the Indians,
these are our dudes.
The Indians show up, and they know the top 4 hitters, and they don't have to look at the lineup, say, who am I hitting? Who's hitting behind me? Who's hitting in front of me? Do I have to worry about the things Trev's talking about? No, it's just like this is in and out. I was just pulling up 2014 Twins. It was Dozier, Mauer, Plouffe for the start of the season, and then Santana got hot, and then it was Santana, Dozier, Mauer, and then how much does that affect? Like, if you're the 1 through 4 hitter, shouldn't you just be the 1 through 4 hitter? The Yankees rotate their 3 hitter, whether everyone's healthy or whether they're injuries. They have, the last 3 years, like 10 guys bat third. They just rotate it nonstop. Yeah.
I really think that's important to have at least one guy that's like, this is our guy. Like, if you have that, I think it really helps, lock a team in, anchor them, if you will. I remember in 2017, I signed with the A's. Go have an unbelievable spring training. I don't even know what I hit. It was really good. Like almost probably 400 or some shit like that, dude. And I'm like, man, our lineup looks good. Like all through spring training, I'm hitting like 4, 5, sometimes second. And opening night comes. I'm like, all right, let's see what we got. Where am I hitting? And boom, I look, and I'm like, okay, not second, not third. And I just had to keep going down, 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 down. And I hit 7th, and I was pissed. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. And so anybody that tells you it doesn't matter, they don't know. It matters. Like, guys want to be there. If they feel like they deserve to be somewhere in the order, I think a lot of that is a lot of the lineup making, the feel for how they're feeling, what could help them get going is kind of lost now. There's no soul in that computer, man. I think I definitely sound like an old baseball player.
I love it.
I really believe in those aspects of the game too, the feel aspect. And you ask any baseball player, they'll say the same thing.
Well, the lineup thing just seems crazy that like you have to not having to pay attention. There's something called decision fatigue, and it's the reason why billionaires wear the same clothes every single day and eat the same thing for breakfast every single day. And you know what Bill Gates is going to wear. You knew what Steve Jobs was going to wear. You knew what Mark Zuckerberg was going to wear. It's the least amount of things you have to think about before the main thing, the better. So if you wake up and I put my black sweatshirt on and my jeans and I eat an apple and coffee, and you don't have to think about anything before you get to your desk, and then all your thinking goes to work. Like that's a lot of really smart people believe in decision fatigue. So if you just ease a player's mind about everything up until game time, pretty easier. And I think that there might be just so much information being thrown at these guys.
There's a lot, and all teams
also goes
ever
into
preach.
Court cases. You don't want to be in early. You don't want to see the judge in their first hour. You want to see them in their last hour. Studies show they're much more lenient because they have decision fatigue, and they're like, fuck it.
I like that. Yeah. I'm going to keep that in mind because I have a few outstanding tickets right now. Yeah. But what I was going to say is teams preach routine. Get into a routine, find what works for you, and stick to it. And then when you get a lineup card that shuffles every day, and you don't know if you need to be ready for the first inning, the second inning, if you're leading off that day, I mean, it throws a wrench into guys' routines. So I think we've talked about it on this show before. There is a happy medium with the numbers and the analytics and a little bit of old school baseball feel. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're heavily leaning analytics right now, and that's okay. Because I think we're getting a bearing on what they mean, what their true value is. Can we analyze the analytics? You know what I mean? Like there needs to be time. There hasn't been this amount of information for too long. How long do you think the information age has been around for? Maybe 4 years? maybe less.
That's
You
why
know?
Mariano was so good, man. 0 decisions. I'll throw that one
see that.
pitch.
Cutter.
Throw that one pitch. That one pitch has to be really good and work. Trevor's 2017 spring training, 370 batting average, 420 on base percentage,
yep.
652 slugging, 1.72 OPS.
That got me a 7th batting order position in the opener right there.
Put me 5th, Skip.
Who batted ahead of you?
Yeah.
Davis, Joyce, Healy, Davis,
Healy.
Voit, Lowry.
Jed.
I think we had Yonder was like behind me. He was pissed about that too. He wanted to be up in the line. We were
Yonder.
both like, what the fuck, man?
The piss second half of the lineup.
Rajay leading off's okay.
Trev, know what maybe we'll do? We'll have to find someone analytically driven to find out the quote-unquote non-analytically driven players on the winning teams over the past few years and why they worked.
I don't know what wait, hold on, you're gonna have to explain that one to me.
So,
Couldn't follow that.
on the winning teams over the past 4 or 5 years since analytics have become hardcore, find the players that the analytics don't love for whatever reasons, whether
okay.
maybe it's defensive range or on base stuff or whatever it is, and find out how they did impact it because they were doing good things, but the current numbers don't measure it.
Well, the Nationals last year, Turner, Eaton, Rendon, Soto. Bam, 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 bam.
Right, but even that was a little not. Turner Eaton is almost controversial because a lot of lineups would have Soto 2
It's old
and
school.
Rendon 3.
That's what I'm saying. Aren't you
Yeah.
looking for anti-analytic?
Yes,
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
added to the study.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Eaton too, that's such an old school thing. Like, can you move the runner over? Can you put the ball in play? You know,
guess
get the guy
what?
in
He
scoring
did.
Position. He did.
He was
I
a
know, man.
stud.
There is something about the gamesmanship, okay? If you expect your leadoff hitter to get on base, right?
Sure. That's a goal.
Then guess what he has to do? He has to be held on. So now there's a hole. So do the analytics support having a left-handed contact hitter in the 2 spot? No, they don't.
Yeah.
But is that going to win you some games because he can roll one over? Yeah, it is. So like I said, I'm interested to see where's the plateau. Like, we're heavily analytically driven. If you talk about any old school baseball now, people talk about you like you're a fool. But there's going to be, some regression there, some meeting in the middle. And the teams that can do that, the teams that find their glue guys, who's a glue guy? Johnny Gomes is a patented glue guy. Mustakis has become a glue guy, even though I think he's a better player than Gomes was.
Good glue
He's still
guy,
gonna. He's a good glue guy. You're gonna Para
Gerardo.
last year for the Nationals.
Measure that. Decibel
Every
level.
team has him, man. Shout out Lucas Giolito. I don't know when this is coming out.
Uh-oh.
We did a sequence with him, and I'm talking about. I'm like, you guys have so many faces of your franchise, dude. I'm like, you got Luis Robert, you got Eloy, you got Tim Anderson. He's
Abreu.
He's like, yeah. He's like, but don't forget about Abreu. He's like our guy, and he goes, and our captain. I'm like, who's your captain? James McCann. He was raving about how much impact McCann has on that clubhouse. Now, is McCann the best player? Obviously not. But what's his impact? I don't know how you ever measure that. But it seems like every single team has a guy. Successful teams have guys. And they're not going to show up in the box score. Probably not in, any sort of WAR or advanced statistic, but they're there and they're making an impact. Yankees need that.
Yeah.
Bring it full circle.
Full circle. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there on this one. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Love you. Any final thoughts?
Beautiful.
Football's back.
Jamie Carroll. Oh, God.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We will catch you next time. Voicemail episode. Love you. Goodbye.